Critically discuss Arnold's Touchtone method. Marks 10-12. Answer. Mathew Arnold's The Study of Poetry is an important asset of literary criticism in English literature. Arnold in this book offers among several topics his touchtone method so as to judge greatness in poetry, drawing attention of scholars for years. By touchstone method, Arnold means a standard benchmark to be set as a yardstick to assess poetry. Arnold refers to the classical poets like Homer, Dante, Shakespeare and Milton as the benchmark of excellence. He quotes a few lines from these poets which serve as an evidence of their greatness. They have one thing in common, the highest poetic quality. Arnold opines that the high poetic quality can be evaluated on two counts, in the matter and substance, and the style and manner. Arnold cites Aristotle's observation that poetry scores over history because it possesses higher truth and higher seriousness. So, the substance and matter of the best poetry acquire their special character from possessing truth and seriousness. The special character of the style and manner of the best poetry is their accent which contributes to the diction and movement of poetry. There is no denying the fact that the real estimate of poetry is an awareness of the strength of joy it can provide to its readers. In this context, Arnold's eulogy of Chaucer is appropriate enough, because Chaucer's poetry does possess an enduring quality, serving as a source of joy to the readers down the ages. His superiority in substance comes from his clear yet kindly view of human life which were presented quite inadequately in Romance poetry of his time. In style, the charm of his poetry lies in its liquidity and fluidity. But, what Chaucer lacks is high seriousness, a grand virtue of poetry according to Arnold. So, Arnold declares that Chaucer cannot be conferred the status of a classic poet. Arnold feels it needless to bring in a detailed discussion on Shakespeare and Milton, the two wizards of Elizabethan poetry. He calls them classic poets due to their truth of substance and the grand style their poetry possesses. Attempting an estimation of Dryden and Pope, Arnold questions their place as classicists. Keeping in view the grand qualities like regularity, uniformity, precision and balance in their prose, Arnold calls these great 18th-century literary stalwarts as classicists in prose. But Arnold opines that their poetry lacks the quality to be termed as classic. However, Arnold declares Thomas Gray, 1716–1771, despite his scanty literary productions, as a classicist in poetry of the 18th century owing to the fact that Gray wrote his poetry under the influence of the Greek masters. Robert Burns comes next in Arnold's scrutiny. Arnold sees truth of matter and truth of manner in Burns' poetry, but does not find the accent of poetic virtue of the highest masters. Arnold's touchstone method is not free from defects. He quotes a few lines from Homer, Dante, Shakespeare, and Milton as the standard yardstick to judge the best poetry. But, contrary to it, he himself in his preface to his 1853 volume of poetry, attacks the modern method of judging a poem from its fragments. His contradictory stance in The Study of Poetry and the preface is not really acceptable. Moreover, limitations of Arnold's touchtone method become more pronounced when he applies one uniform critical canon to all poets for studying their excellence. His lopsided view on Gray brings to the fore his glaring defect of assessment. Finished. Please subscribe to the channel for more updates of ready-made notes on English literature. Also, please share this channel to help any student pursue a degree in English literature. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please do not forget to like and comment.